Anytime you're ready.
Cool.
This is your.
All right, well, I'll just introduce myself real quick. My name's Jay. I'm here from the We Got the Geek podcast, and this, of course, is Mr. Pat Broderick.
Hello.
Oh, there you go.
There we are.
Actually, I'm real curious. We talked a little bit downstairs, and you mentioned a new project, and I'd love to hear more about that.
Yeah, I'm working on a project for First Comics / Devil's Due Publishing with Peter Gillis. They're relaunching their original Shatter comic book, which was the first computer-generated comic book that was published back in the 70s. And they're relaunching it. It's a different character, of course, because they killed me, thank God. And, well, it's protection for me. I get to create the new one and then reap all the rewards. And real excited about it. Along with the job came game design for a game presentation that they're pitching the product with, and also Kenneth Levine is the owner, and he's also the producer on the Preacher TV series, so he's also actively pitching it right now.
Oh, cool.
So, and I'm on the third, I got a 6-issue contract, so I'm on the third one. Finished my third one now, so I expect to be done by probably in November.
Oh, cool.
And I heard rumors that he's thinking of publishing a summer convention special to promote it. So it might be out by August, I don't know.
Oh, great. Look forward to seeing that, actually. Now, I was also telling you downstairs, my favorite thing you've ever worked on was Captain Atom, back in D.C. in the 80s.
Yeah.
Could you tell us a little bit about working on that series with Cary Bates?
Yeah, if you're familiar with Captain Atom's history, I am also a Steve Ditko fan. Captain Atom was first in the 50s created by Ditko at Charlton. So when DC picked up the Charlton character properties, Dick Giordano called me up and asked me if I would do the Captain Atom book. He didn't know that I was such a huge Ditko fan. So yes, that was like an Easter egg for me. I'll take the job. And read Cary's script, and we had a complete new view and creation of it again. So we started working on that and saw a pretty decent run on the series, I think almost 3 years.
Cool. And did you design the silver sleeve yet?
Yeah,
oh, nice.
I designed the silver one. I wanted to keep it as simple as possible, quite frankly, because a lot of the costumes and characters that are being designed at that time and later on are quite intricate in design. And I felt that a simple design would make him stand out in the crowd.
Oh, nice. In preparing for this, I reread for the first time in many years Batman Year 3. And great story, beautiful artwork. What are your recollections of working on that one?
You want the true story, or you want
whatever you're comfortable with.
Okay, well, I was offered that job, and I wouldn't have turned it down because it was the continuation of the Year 1 to Year 2 and Year 3.
Mm-hmm.
But at the time, I was also working on Green Lantern and doing fill-ins for projects that were in trouble to complete this and get it to the printer. So I actually had to do 4 books that month, and it was a huge workload. Also when, and I know this was truly just a typical Denny O'Neil mistake, because we love Denny. But he said the books are bi-monthly. And it's like, DC hasn't done it bi-monthly in years. And he said, yeah, it's bi-monthly. Well, Denny, I guess, didn't understand the difference between bi-monthly and twice a month.
Oh, jeez.
So on top of having my ongoing Green Lantern series I was working on, fill in on, I can't remember the series title. Joe Staten was working on it and had to leave the book, so they needed like 4 issues done because they were violating their contract with the printer and they were going to be fined. So get it done. And it put me under a lot of pressure. I did a lot of work for about 3 months. I mean, it probably was easier for Jack Kirby, who was used to a high production line. I'd never gone over 2 books, and 3 pages a day, maintaining, to meet that schedule. So, but it was fun. John Beatty did a wonderful job inking it. I thought it was a really good story, and I got to create or be listed as the creator for the Tim Drake character. So, and I just found out that I got a special thanks bio on the Captain Marvel movie at the end of it. So I said, we got to find that. It's like, yeah, special thanks we got to find.
Oh, very cool.
And that's it about the year 3, yeah.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
Now, I don't want to hog the conversation. Does anyone have any questions?
Yes. Well, yeah, that was
3 pages a day and 2 books a month.
Yeah. I worked weekends too. I did. Yeah. Okay, well, let me give you the whole story. I started in 1973. Broke into comics from high school. Actually went up to New York, and they had a 4th annual, July 4th comic book con in New York at the Commodore Hotel. So DC Comics was sponsoring a contest called the Junior Bullpen Contest, and if they selected you, they brought you in the house and you worked slave labor rates doing art corrections and things. So that's how I broke in. And it started from there. Got to do my famous contents pages for the family-sized books. So those occasionally come across my desk. One came today. I asked my wife, I said, what were you doing in 1974? Because I dated my piece. She said, well, she was 19. And so I was here in New York working. And that's the nice part about it. You occasionally get to see stuff that you've done. Now, of course, 50 years, so it's a long time back now. But occasionally books come across my desk that I completely forgot that I drew to. Questions?
Well, I'll keep going then. One of the first things I ever read that you worked on was from 1980, I think, the Justice League 200. What was
the annual?
I think it was like the special issue when they reached issue 200.
Yeah. Well, the reason I got that job was I was already doing Firestorm.
Okay.
So I did the Firestorm chapter with Martian Man, and it was really nice to do. And I had Terry Austin inking me, which was great ink to have. So, and I was solidly into Firestorm by that time.
Okay.
In the series.
And what would you say is the project you've worked on that you've been most proudest of?
Lords of the Ultra Realm, Doom 2099. Yeah. I really wanted to hit a 5-year milestone with a book without it being canceled or removed from it, and that was the one that came the closest to. It's 3 years plus, but definitely Doom 2099. I enjoy sci-fi more than superheroes. And I enjoy horror more than superheroes. I wish we were in Europe, okay? But you make your living off what's offered, so. Which is why I got to draw cops and Captain Planet. A lot of license work.
Yeah, I know. I was watching What's your relationship between you and some of the anchors? Who are some of your favorite, and maybe some people you didn't work so well with?
I don't remember the ones that didn't work so well with. I know they're out there, and I wouldn't say anything bad about them. Favorite anchors was Bruce Patterson worked with me for a long time on many titles, so we adapted a style very well together. And also, John Nyberg, John Beatty. John not only did year 3, he did the first 3 issues of Doom 2099 also. And Bob Smith followed me a long time at DC. My Batman work, and I believe my Captain Marvel work. I'm sorry, Captain Adam. Yeah,
okay.
I believe the Captain Adam one.
Cool.
So they're the 3 inkers that stand out. And then I started inking my own stuff too. So I'm too humble to say that I'm my favorite.
Some of your the writers, how much instruction, the ones that you work with the best, and if you don't want to say names, which is fine, some of the ones that didn't work out so well, as far as, do you like too much dictation? Do you like the script format more? Like what do you work with best?
The 2 formats mentioned is like plot format, which varies also between the 2 companies, and full script, which also varies between the 2 companies. An example, Mark Wolfman would give you a panel-by-panel action description, character emotion, and dialogue. And so it's all nailed down. Doug Munch would give the same thing, but where he would give you so much more meat in the story. A plot for a 20-page book for Doug would be about a 60-page type plot, and we'd break it down, he'd break it down. And I've worked with Bill Manlow, the writer on the Micronauts when I was on it. Bill's plots would be about 3 pages for the 19 pages, but he concentrated more on jumping from action to action to action, giving a little bit of the dialogue, and he would just let me run with it. Jerry Conway on Firestorm, we plotted in conversations over the phone. We started out with just written plots, but after, I'd say about 6 months, it was just phone conversations, which he told me he felt confident, we could just do it from that, which was, I'm a Sag, okay, so it's like, so we would discuss things, and due to the unique relationship between Ronnie and Professor Stein, would leave gaps in the plot that I could drive a semi-truck through, so I would do it, point of case, he had Ronnie in high school when the professor initiated the change, and it always takes place, and it's a surprise for the person who hasn't initiated it, just feels it coming on. The professor could be in the middle of an experiment or something, has to run out of the office. I decided that Ronnie had to be in the shower, in the locker room, So it caused Jerry to alter the plot a little bit, because at the end, when they separated, Ronnie's standing there soaking wet with soap bubbles all over in the middle of Manhattan. So I liked having that freedom to throw a curveball at Jerry and watch him pick it up, knock it out of the park. And it was fun doing it that way. It was. Right now, I'm working with Peter Gillis, and Peter is an excellent writer, whether he's writing superheroes or prose or anything. He's just a very, very good writer. So his scripts are, he allows me room, so I'm able to, he might end the page at one point, but the action might spill over for half a page or so into the next page, and I like clean breaks, because part of the comics is you have that point where you flip the page. So when you have the scene finished, theatrically, it's like curtain closed, open curtain, next scene. So I like to structure my books that way. So I'm able to adjust it, cram a little bit here, giving larger panels that he can explain his backstory with the dialogue. I'm dealing with two personalities with the character, much like the Ronnie Brando ones. So there's Firestorm, but there's no floating heads this time. What I'm doing is reflections in the mirrors and stuff. So when one character, if he's talking to himself mentally, and there's a mirror in the room, the image in the mirror is the other character. So I'm trying to throw these things into the artwork in a more subtle fashion. And I'm having fun doing it that way. I don't know if he ends up sticking a balloon over it and covers it up or whatever. I let him know that the stuff's there. Even reflections on the character's shoulder pads and stuff. Because I'll play off a camera angle and set the camera angle up so that you're dealing with the reaction shot, but what is he reacting to, right? But if you look into the scene, you see another scene, and that's what he's reacting to. He's on location, it's a crime scene, but you don't see the victims and stuff until you look what's reflected on it. So I like doing that kind of stuff now.
Oh, cool.
And I don't know if it'll be effective or not, but
I think that's brilliant, if you don't mind me saying. I love the comic book. You actually already alluded to my next question, the last part of the comic book process besides the editors. Did any of the letterers ever cover something important that you did in the background?
No, I leave, I work traditionally. And then, I've studied art and design traditionally. And every panel you have division of thirds, even if you break it down, so I know to leave some area within that division for the dialogue. Now, before I went to school, I didn't know about that, so I was constantly frustrated about where they would put the balloons, but I didn't realize that I wasn't helping them. So after getting a degree and started teaching storyboards for cinema and stuff, I saw how it better translated into comics. And so I found that I was able to leave plenty of room for dialogue balloons, and also had better control over the eye movement from panel to panel by using the cinematic method. I told the young guys, I said, when you start a line of action, don't cross that line. I said, just because the panel border goes from right down to left, you start reading again. The scene within, you're still carrying the same direction of action, so try not to break that, because it does funny things with your head. You have two things, going together like that. Though that's effective if you know where to use it. Car crossing a train track with an oncoming train, so you switch it and have that conclusion. You either make it across or you don't. So there it works. So things like that. That's what I'm bringing more to my art now, than I did earlier.
I don't remember you ever using the arrows to tell us to go from panel to panel, which that was famous back in the day. So
I did.
Oh, you did?
Yeah.
I don't recall that.
I hid it in the art. I would design the art in certain cases where the negative space would form an arrow. The colors it up. He doesn't see it, but I know I put an arrow there. So it's there in your brain when you're looking at the panel.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Now I'm talking about like the blatants.
I know.
Thank you.
Yeah. No, I thought that was really like if you can't direct them through the story, you got to put a panel. Somebody didn't do something right, So
panel layout. That, to me, that's like one of the defining features of an artist is the panel layout. So you were mentioning school. Where did you go to school, and when did you go to school? In between, it sounds like you started comics before you went to school.
Yeah. This is fun because I always explain this to my students. Also, I said a creative career may have 3 to 4 different careers within that. So I started out in comics, and I went to advertising. I worked in advertising for like 7 or 8 years. So then I went into education based off of life experience. with the agreement contract signed that I could get my degree there at the school while I taught. So I got my BFA at Art Institute, and then I was also teaching at IABT and Art Institute, but it's still the same subject matter. So I found that the education improved my art. So it's like I would get so frustrated with students that would just walk in and breeze through the class. It's just, first of all, you're paying $300-something for that class for that week, and you're just breezing through it, And then you're going to be upset at the end of the semester when you get your grade. But those are the fun challenges of teaching. But that's the way it was. I got my education later on in life. Yes? Yeah.
And then you finish teaching and went back.
Yeah, well, you all follow like the economy in America. Okay, when the Fannie Mae loan program, which was back to student loans, got in trouble, they started restricting the requirements for signing the students, which of course started the less number of bodies enrolled. So when you're an adjunct, they hand out their classes according to the number of students they can sit in that class. So if they don't have enough students. So I went from full-time teaching to one school closing entirely, and then the other one cutting back drastically to where all the full-time employees like the chairperson and the department head were also teaching the classes on ground. They let all the adjuncts go. So at that time, it's like, I'm back in comics again, So, yeah. But it was a good learning experience for my students to tell them, because it's like, so many of them, it's like, if I could just draw X-Men or Spider-Man, I'm set for life. And it's like, you are so naive. Because one editor might like your stuff, and they change editors. He wants to bring in a new team. It does not matter if it's good. If you did a good job, you're out the door. So you have to be prepared for that. Yeah.
You've worked at both Marvel and DC. Can you describe how you fit in and how it felt with you? I don't want you to say you had a better one, but just from us perspective, we don't know. We don't work there.
Yeah.
But you're normally a DC guy or a Marvel guy. So how was it working with those two companies, I guess is what I'm asking.
Probably have heard this before from other people, but DC was much more management control driven, like an advertising agency, structure, authority, answerability, and whatnot. And Marvel was a much looser ship. I guess, to be honest, say I liked the freedom, didn't like the restriction because of the paranoia knowing there's a lot more cooks in the kitchen that are going to see this and approve it. But still, I understand and appreciate both. I think DC being owned by Warner Brothers so long is what set that up for them. So it's amazing that Marvel has done as well as they had on their own. And today, quite literally, we can't get any work from them. They are not giving us work. So don't know if that has anything more to do other than the age of the editors that they're hiring, basically. It's a different era. They would rather review artwork on online at DeviantArt, than interact with somebody. Yeah.
Being a fan of Ditko, did you become aware of him through his horror or through his Spider-Man?
First it was Spider-Man.
Yeah.
I was 63, so I was I think about 7 years old.
Yeah.
So and then discovered
His horror stuff's great.
Yeah, well, it's the realization that, like, these are comics, these are cool, and you read them, you love them, it's like, what? there were comics before these comics. I must find them.
It's like music too, right? You find a band you like and you go back and see what they inspired them too, right?
But we didn't have comic book shops back then, so it was really hard to find. Usually barber shops that have a stack of books on the side, and then you'd find old issues.
Did you ever get to meet Steve Ditko?
No, unfortunately, no. He was very reclusive. I actually got to work on some Ditko pages with Wally Wood on The Stalker, which was great. And then Wally fired me because I didn't do my job right, but it was okay. We worked in the studio, and it's like, you out and you in, let's see how you do. And the studio was Neil's studio, so this great Wally's here, he needs help, we'd line up at the door. That aspect of it was nice for the time when I broke into comics. I did get to meet a few well-known people now, that were just fun, crusty old guys. Come on, guys. You got a question?
Out of all the characters that you've drawn, who is your favorite to draw and who is your least favorite?
Multiplex character, Firestorm. Least favorite. Okay. Having to draw 50 of the same guy in the same panel as he's multiplying and fighting. It's like, if only you had to draw other than right, you would create characters like that. And probably the most favorite was Doom 2099, because that's when I started really playing with the reflections and the stuff in his armor and things. So I had plus it was a new world. I got to do modern, futuristic architecture, but yet maintain the true aspect that ancient architecture would still be existing in the city. So you would go down the street, modern buildings, and suddenly there would be one Freemason built. You could see the Freemasonry stuff in the design and whatnot. So it's like, it exists now, and what's this building doing here? It's like, come on, guys, you got 2,000-year-old buildings in Europe right now. You don't think there's going to be 2,000-year-old buildings in 2099, So, they changed things, but it's just, I was talking to Lance Henriksen last night, because I told him, did they ever do a final episode of Millennium? So I loved him on that, and he said, no, they hadn't. That when they changed the direction of the whole show, he lost all interest in it, and that's why he had left it. So I totally understand that it does happen in comics. When a new writer will come in, they just, a good example is Warren L. Warren L. was taking over Doom, going to completely redirect the whole thing. It's like, I don't want to do it that way. It's like you've got all these plot threads out here that you need to tie up. We just kill them. Well, they're good characters. We just kill them. So it didn't last that long with Warren. So, yeah.
With regards to if you've already started the drawings,
No.
I know I'm being naive, I guess.
Well, no, I once thought that there was seniority on a book and whatnot, but the reality sets in that it works the same. It's like, who's the favorite? So it doesn't matter. I want him in. He wants to make changes. He do the changes, or I get another artist. So that's the way it was.
Did you ever turn down a job because you thought your art style wouldn't suit it, or you just didn't want to draw the characters? Like, you're well known for your science fiction based stuff, right? Like, did you ever get offered Conan or something like that, and you're like, oh, I'm not going to draw that?
I've never said no to a job.
Oh, really? Okay.
I've never said no to a job, but I'm a freelance artist. And I'm married, raising 4 boys. I never said no to a job. That's just the way it was. I did say no to advertising work.
Okay.
Okay, because I had worked for Tracy Locke Advertising in Texas, and about 3 years back, one of the art directors called me up, wanted me to do a storyboard push for their client because they needed 10 storyboards done in color at their office on Mondays, and this was Friday. And whereas younger, I wouldn't say no to that because I know that there's like 15 frames to the board, 150 frames, I'm getting $125 a frame. Yeah, I'll do it, and work all weekend and do it, But I didn't want to do that again because you become known for that, which is why he called me, and I just didn't want to do that anymore. The thought of staying awake 3 or 4 days straight while you're working, even if you're going to make $10,000, it's still, it's just not worth that. So yeah, I said no to that, and to family. Yeah, get the request, and you do portraits, and it's like, you've got 9 kids, John. Your brother's got 6. You see where I'm going with this? No, I'm not going to do the portraits. No, sorry. No.
You mentioned that you're freelance, that you work in DC. Do you which do you prefer?
Oh no, I prefer the security. Yes, yeah. I also worked at a game company for a year before, for a good year and a half, and I love getting paid to draw. So it was nice to have the job to go into and a set amount of work every day, and we get to discuss what concept designs they need. Just sit and do nothing but creative drawing. It was the same way. I've worked on the Jimmy Neutron movie, so it was the same structure. You go in and you have a set number of things you have to create and get paid at the end of the week. The best thing about working for somebody is you don't have to chase your money. And freelance, you sometimes have to chase your money. Yeah.
So you said you never turned down the job. Looking back, are there any jobs that you did take that you kind of regret now? Like looking back, saying, "Oh, I wish I hadn't done that."
Yeah, that 3-month period where DC had me working so hard. Yeah, that month definitely. I would have loved to have said, "Yeah, I'll take Batman down. You take this off my plate, push it back, John." But then it's like, "No, you can't do that." And they get quite serious with the threats. The editors will say, if you don't finish this job, well, I'm not going to give you any more work. So we're all a big, happy family. Dysfunctional.
So you were doing like multiple books, and you did them for long periods of time. Why do you think the new guys can't? They get 6 issues in, and then they're done.
They're babies.
That's what I want to hear.
They're babies. They're snowflakes. They don't want to work hard.
Yeah,
I don't know what to say, really.
Yeah, I don't know either. I don't understand it.
There was a big change in the way production was done when comics started paying large royalty checks. Mm-hmm. So I could see where that would interfere with printing in the next book on time, and could cause a problem. I know a lot of creatives would jump around. If they couldn't get issues 1 and 2 on a title, they wouldn't agree to do any work for it, or if they heard a new title was coming out, they would just do the one book and then try to get the first issue of the other one. So it was hard to keep a good cohesive team going. But yeah, definitely, it's a trap that double-bladed sword, guys. I mean, you try to control your life, but they control what they offer you. So, now these, like you said, these new books, I don't honestly understand.
This is the thing, growing up, I would follow artists. I would follow you. I follow Farad, Byrne, all those guys, right?
Yeah.
Now you start a book and you like the artist, but then 6 issues you got another artist you don't really appreciate as much.
I heard there was a thing about all the art looks interchangeable now. You can just, yeah. And I don't know. They've always been guilty of being in love with the hot book, and so they would want to establish a house style, and draw like this, for your book. And it started long before Jim Lee or, like Liefeld and them broke into the industry, because they were trying to get us to draw like John Buscema, or make it look more curvy-ish, So we fought against that. At least I did. It's like, if you want me to draw like Jim Lee, then hire Jim. And occasionally I would say things like, whoever's drawing X-Men is going to be a star. So if Jim wasn't drawing X-Men, he'd be a really good storyteller and doing really fine comics, but you'd be telling, draw it like the person's drawing X-Men. So, and you can't blame them. The success that they attained with the sales during that time.
So you never used anyone else's layouts?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. To me, layouts is like learning design. So you look at it and you break down the design, you see how they did it. If it works with your scene, go ahead and use the design. You don't have Alfred Hitchcock doesn't have a copyright on his set design, layout, and camera approach. So if it works there, you use it, learn from it. I don't know how many students do that, or new artists. I don't know how many would do that. I don't know if you've seen my recent work or even my old work, but I told my students in school, it's like the monster Frankenstein is not Frankenstein. Okay? I mean, literally, but even the whole sense of it. The laboratory, the castle, the time period, the townsfolk with the burning pitchforks, that all makes up Frankenstein. So do me a picture of Frankenstein. And they go, God, what does he want? Well, I just told him, It's like you got to capture the essence of the era that exists now. And it's the same thing with comics. Backgrounds, locations, very important. I don't see a lot of that. So I put it in mind. I still do. Yeah.
Was there ever a character that you didn't get a chance to draw that you wish you would have had a shot at?
Yeah, everyone's thinking $1 million. I feel really good for like George. He's reaping the rewards of a long career right now through media, so it came at a good time for him. I'm very happy. I would have loved to have created a cyborg. I created a lot of characters that they used. Surprisingly enough, it seems like the secondary characters in the storylines were the ones that appeared in the series, But I'm not so naive to think that it's going to run like this for another 40 years. It's going to burn out. I mean, very curious to see the new X-Men movie, to compare it to the earlier X-Men movie, what they're doing with it, because the ownership's changing hands, and Disney going to do as good a job or whatever. So, and I haven't even seen the Swamp Thing yet, and they canceled it. Yeah, so it's like, why bother? Except, that was neat, too bad. It's just an interesting world. They always will go where they feel the money is, and if you happen to be lucky enough to be along the ride and can facilitate that with them, then it's great. No, it's so dour.
What characters have you created that you're most proud of yourself? What inspired them for that? Like, normally you would think the writer would have the character give you direction, or did you come up with it?
Well, like Doom 2099, I was so intimidated doing Doom because the last time he had his own title, the last artist that was on that title was Wally Wood. And Doom was so iconic, you know. But the fact that they allowed me to create not one but two costumes for him was wonderful, you know. Like I said earlier with the Captain Atom, I like keeping it simple in appearance. But I really had few opportunities to create a new character, you know, from get-go. So if they do anything with the new interest in the Atlas Seaboard characters that have sold to media, then I could see where there might be a Planet of Vampires movie, because it's perfect for right now. Well, I'm married 34 years and got 4 boys, all grown, buried one a year ago, you know, so recovering from that. Yeah.
How does it all work?
It's what, raising children?
I don't know. Do you have any hobbies outside of work and stuff like that?
Netflix.
Netflix is a
That's a hobby.
Yeah. No, my day starts off at like 5:45 a.m. and I try to get all my work done early parts of the day. You know, because the energy and the strength is more manifested during the early time of the day. So I love watching the sun come up. So I always beat it. You know. Yeah. You know, it's just one of the things that I found. I don't know. This is strange, esoterical, but we're connected, you know what I mean? So when the sun goes down, you get tired, you go to sleep. So it's like, well, when the sun comes up, I must be wanting to get up. And I found as I got older, my body is waking up earlier. So I go with the flow instead of fighting it. Unfortunately, I've been dead asleep by like 9. But I get a lot done. So.
I told my subscribers I would, and I found one of them.
Yeah.
I found the one you're trying to work with. I'm sure
Tell them I try to, but you have to have the interest and the spark, you know. And none of them do. I mean, they all pursue separate careers of other things, so, you know, and I didn't try to force it, nor did I feel. My wife felt, you know, it's like, why aren't any of them drawing? And it's like, why haven't any of them learned to cook? I mean, I'm learning to cook. I love to cook, you know, but they don't have an interest in it. That's why, you know, so they pick up an interest and, you know. It took me forever to teach my son to make something more than mac and cheese and hot dogs. It's like, the oven's your friend. You can bake things in there. It's really good, but I didn't want to put the effort in, you know. So.
I find that one thread that carries through in the scene is that the love of what the artists do, and if you don't love doing it, it's not going to be successful at anything.
Yeah.
Because that carries you through the rough times.
Oh, we're all OCD. No, we are. All artists are OCD. Obsessively compulsed to create artwork. You know, and I recognized that a long time ago. You know, because the days that I don't, I get itchy and I want to draw something, so I'm being driven. You know, so it's something screwy up here. Yeah.
If you could go back and talk to your younger self as he was just starting out, what would you say to him?
Go to school. Go to school first. Get a degree first. You're too anxious, one, to get out the gate. You know, don't be a one race horse. Go to school. That's what I would tell them. That's honest. That's what I tell all the students today. I tell the moms that brings their kids' work up to my table and they show good work. And kids like maybe 10 or 11, it's like, get them books. You know, if you've got a college used bookstore near you, go buy that 10-year-old those books and have them do the exercises that are in the books, because it's all the structured, all traditional, basic training and methods. So get him started now. If he likes to draw, like here's a book on figure drawing, and here's a book on landscape. It talks about direction of light and stuff. Get him used to that now. So that by the time he gets out of high school, he'll have a grasp of what they're wanting from him. That's what I would tell him, and that's what I would tell myself. Absolutely.
This is us.
I mean, I can't stress more the fact that those that went before us learned it and wrote it down for a reason. And don't think that I don't want to be influenced by it. I want to develop my own style, because you're just tying your hands up in knots by doing that. Don't let your ego get in the way. And I see that a lot with students coming out. Both positively and negatively. I've had students come in and said, I get A's every course. I'm going to get an A in here. It's like, this is your first year of college. I may have worked with you in high school, but here you've got to work. Okay, so I hope you earn that A.
You find that artists don't really have like an ego, but if you give criticism, a lot of them take it the wrong way. Like, you have to kind of fight through that? Or?
Yeah, but I think it's just a natural instinct to react to criticism with defense. It's like, well, I did it this way because, or maybe you don't understand what I'm trying to do, And my response is, if I'm not understanding it, you didn't do it. But criticism, I've never had any trouble taking criticism, okay? But I know what you mean. I've seen it out there, and I've run into it even on the convention boards and whatnot. So, but that's a deeper thing, I honestly think. You can't take criticism on your art. There's other things in your life you have difficulty taking critiques on too. But I'm an old man. What do I know?
The other 43.
Are you still keeping up with reading comics at all these days?
No. No. There's not one book out there that I was reading that I have any interest in following right now. I'm just more interested in telling a good story and putting that out there. Drawing a good story. Even when I do convention sketches here, guys, it's like the sketches will outlive me. And my name's on it. So I don't want anybody to see a shitty sketch and my name on it. So it's like, so why do you put so much detail in your sketches? It's because it's going to outlast me. Hopefully, especially now with the internet. So I was just, do the best you can, for the day you are. Be satisfied with it. Hell, I took a fall at my table. I almost wasn't able to come in here today. I got stood up and got my feet tangled up. Next thing I know, I'm hitting the ice. And I hit it hard, like bounced on cement. Oof. Now my wife's looking at me, what's wrong with you? Got tangled up, or did you trip me? It's one or the other. We have that kind of relationship. We can mess with each other. Well, we've been messing with each other for a long time, so we know how to play with each other.
Well, that's a good marriage right there.
Yeah, absolutely, it's a good marriage. She's my third wife, but this one worked. Never give up. So, any more questions?
I guess as basic, generico as it gets. First comic you read, first character, favorite character.
Ant-Man?
Which one?
Number one.
Nice.
Yeah, I was fortunate enough to have been there when Marvel started all the stuff, and had every one of them up until I was in junior high school. And my mom tossed them out because I didn't clean my room, and my mom was real strict, raising 3 boys on her own. So, but I got my revenge. Yeah. Well, my mom loved it. She would live with the boys. She'd come stay with us for a while. And suddenly you'd hear on the news, this comic book sold for $175,000. It's like, hey, Ma!
Oh, jeez.
I had that. You threw away your retirement. So, but I was able to play with them like that.
Do you keep like copies of all of your books? Like, do you have copies?
I did. Actually, with 4 boys, my wife made it a project to gather together a copy of everything for each boy. So I had a storehouse just full of boxes for each one. And it got sold. They broke into it. People recognize comic book boxes, and they're in the storage unit. They'll knock that lock off and walk out of there.
Oh, man.
So I've been trying to rebuild it, but it's just difficult to do. And now we got grandchildren. It's like, hey, baby, let's rethink this. Because we have 4 grandchildren now. It's like, good luck trying to find enough, But I don't know. Even the grandchildren, we send them stuff, give them stuff. But as they've gotten older, like for them, comics have fallen to the side. Video games and tattoos is what they're interested in.
I think the next panel is waiting to get in here, so I just want to say it was great being here, and it was very nice meeting you. And
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, guys.